when she came, I literally was cooking a chicken cheesesteak, and while I'm making this chicken cheesesteak, I'm like, this is my life. Like, I gotta slam dunk this. So I always say this, like, I tell people, don't be a practice player. You gotta really finish out in the game.
Welcome to Securing the Bag, the Roots exclusive series that's all about work, entrepreneurship, and the secrets to success. Today, our guest is Derrick Hayes, CEO and founder of the world-famous Big Dave's Cheesesteaks. Welcome.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I'm really looking forward to talking to you.
Me too.
So how did you convince people that, I mean, cheesesteaks are really kind of a Philly thing. How are you convincing the rest of the world that cheesesteaks are where it's at?
Well, I will say is I started in a Shell gas station in 2014 in Dunwoody, Georgia. Nobody knew what real cheesesteaks was in Georgia. Everybody was calling it a Philly or a Philly cheesesteak. So I wanted to bring something authentic. And me coming out the tri-state, that was a challenge for me because I knew that I would have to get the rolls, I would have to get certain steak, I would have to get certain peppers, stuff that we used in Philly. And I was able to make that happen. But just to rewind, I dedicated my business to my father. He passed away from lung cancer. So for me, it was like, it was personal. I really wanted to make it. I really wanted the world to see that I had something special. And I've been working my tail off for 8.5, 9 years to do that. So that's really how I did it. And I just been taking every opportunity along the way and just slam dunking it.
I mean, like a lot of business owners, you were kind of forced to switch gears during the pandemic, which pretty much shut everything down. But I read that you were able to achieve a 100% increase in sales during that time.
Yeah.
How in the world did you do that?
That felt really good because at a time in America where we didn't know what was going on, nobody ever seen COVID. We was in a real downfall of the economy. I just wanted to be somebody that stood up. Me being a black small-owned business in the United States, being downtown Atlanta, I wanted people to understand that you guys were in my lines supporting me, building my dream. I want to have you guys back when the world ain't having nobody back. So I gave out meals to the community. It was about 1,000 meals. I had my employees with heater bags standing up in line and going up and down the streets while people were parked in their cars. And then later on that night, we had some extra food left over, so we took the food around the corner to the hospitals. And then it was like ding, ding, it was like a light switch in my head, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna start feeding frontline workers. We're going to all the hospitals in Atlanta as much as we can, so we feeding 100, 200 meals a day, giving them to frontline workers. I felt like at that time, they were saving everybody else's life and trying to be there for everybody, but nobody was really being there for them. So I said the most I could do was feed them. So we started doing a lot of the community work through the pandemic, and next thing you know, my lines is just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And a lot of people weren't saying they weren't doing good, but I felt like, we were in a stage where somebody had to show who they was, and I felt like, me being who I am and Big Dave's being a brand, we just was there for the people.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you did a lot of hard work getting your business off the ground, but you got a big boost from the rapper Eve, who raved about your cheesesteaks on social media.
Thank you, Eve. I will always tell Eve, thank you.
I was gonna say, so is it true that you didn't even know her before this happened?
No, so I didn't know Eve. A friend of mine knew Eve. She kind of put the connection together, but I waited for Eve to come one day. She didn't come, so I didn't get discouraged, but I just, just kept on doing my thing, and then one day she came, but she came at a real crucial and critical point of my career because I literally exhausted all my funds. I was at that roller coaster ride where I didn't know how the ride was going to keep going. I kept taking all these down slopes, and when she came, I literally was cooking a chicken cheesesteak, and while I'm making this chicken cheesesteak, I'm like, this is my life. Like, I gotta slam dunk this. So I always say this, like, I tell people, don't be a practice player. You gotta really finish out in the game. And for her to be able to stamp that on all her social media outlets and tell all her friends and tell the world that I had something authentic in Georgia, it was a blessing to me because in this world, we live off a stamp. Sometimes, it takes somebody to stamp you to get to the next level, or somebody to stamp you for people to understand who you are, and she did that for me, and I'll be forever thankful.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Derrick.
y'all for having me.